Welcome YouTube. This is the Velvet Locks with a story time. Okay, now it's been a while since I've done a story time, but I have a story to tell you. Okay, let's get on with this story. Well, one afternoon, it was after work, and me and my daughter decided, we wanted to snack on something. It's hot. We have a little time to kill. So, her idea was to go to Domino's. Well, I did not order pizza. I had some wings. Okay, I'm just letting y'all know. I'm on my health journey still. Okay. So I ordered some chicken wings. We both ordered some hot wings. So we figured, okay, that's a nice, on-the-go type of food. So I'm standing there now. Now I go into the Domino's restaurant. Now this is one on Queens Blvd in New York. Queens Blvd. And I guess that's called Briarwood area of Queens Blvd. Those of you in the New York area that's familiar with the Jamaica Queens area, you will know what I'm talking about. So I go inside now, and the place is nice and cool, at least in the waiting area. So I go inside now and I place my order. Okay, so the lady at the register takes my order, and I notice, she has that little Indian dye thing that they do. I don't know what it's called, but it's like that henna, dye ink that they have on their hands. Okay, she had it on her palm going down and on her back of her hand going down. So I didn't think anything of it. So I'm standing there now after she takes my order, and I'm just looking around in the back because, I like to see who's making my food if I have a chance to see that, and I want to see how they making my food. Well, I'm just standing there, and I want to, make sure that they're pretty clean because, I'm getting ready to snack on some wings. So, I want to make sure that they're pretty clean. So I'm standing there now, and I look over to the pizza board area, and I notice the guy who's making the pizza. I notice he's not wearing any gloves. Well, okay, I can understand. I remember growing up and, seeing that they make the pizza with no gloves. But this day and age, I'm not feeling that. So I just happened to ask, excuse me, you guys don't wear gloves? So the lady at the register said,
no, because we can't really feel the dough if we wear gloves, and plus anyway, the oven, goes up to 500 degrees, so it will kill all the germs.
I was like, I don't know who told you that, but if that's the case, then how come people are still getting food poisoning after eating food? So after she said that, I was very skeptical and more on my alert now. Okay, I got my gator out and I'm really looking now. So I'm looking around, I'm standing in the front, but I'm still like checking out what's going on, just standing there in the eyeballs, Then I notice on the side where the oven is, this little short guy behind the counter. Now you could see him, but what he did was, no, let me not go ahead of myself. So it's this little short man, and I look over and I see him sweating bullets. Okay, because this is New York. Right now we're having a heat wave, and it's like over 90 degrees outside. So yes, it was cool when I got in there. But I guess, in the kitchen area with the oven and all of that stuff, it was really hot in the back room. So that got me to thinking now. And I'm like,
oh, this ain't the time or the season to be eating out. Because the kitchen is hot. That means they're sweating back there. That means sweat could possibly be dripping in my food.
So as I'm thinking now, and my mind is starting to go, my germophobic side is starting to pop out. So I'm like, oh shoot, Here we go. So homeboy's sweating bullets now, drenching. Why is it our eyes caught as he was doing all of this? Okay. So now our eyes caught. Now he saw me looking at him, looking at me, looking at him, while he rubbing his face and wiping all the sweat off his face. By that time now, I was really considering asking for my money back. But I'm looking and I'm like, well, he on the pizza board, so he ain't touching my food. Then I'm wondering, well, okay, well, it's hot wings, so they shouldn't be touching it. So, all right, I'm standing there now, and I'm really watching now. Now he's watching me because he saw that I saw him rubbing his face and wiping sweat off with his palms. Then shortly after that, I guess he didn't want me to see him anymore. So at the counter that he was standing behind, preparing this food, he started stacking the boxes so that I couldn't see him. Okay? Now, I told you he's a really short man. So the counter's like here, and then he's stacking boxes. Alright? So I'm like, you ain't playing games. I know what you up to. You don't want me to see what you're doing back there. So I, eased over. And I'm like peeping around the boxes now. Now, I noticed next to him were two guys, preparing the boxes. And I don't know why they needed two guys to prepare the boxes. But there was two guys. One had piece of paper and the other had glue. So the one with the glue put the dab of glue on the box, and the one with the paper slapped the advertisement on the box, and then they put it to the side, and they kept doing that back and forth. But they scratching because it's hot. But they're scratching, and they're touching the boxes, and they're touching the food. Well, now because I don't know if that little guy said something to them, but now I notice they're looking at me. Because, I'm looking at them. So I guess he must have said something like, watch it, this girl is over here watching you. So I noticed they turned around and they're looking at me now. So I'm like, shoot, I'm the consumer. I need to see what's going on. So I don't care what they say. If they don't like me looking at them, I'm looking. Because I don't want no sweat in my food. So I then all of a sudden focused my attention on the cashier. I noticed she ain't in the front no more. So I'm like, where'd this little girl go? But before noticing she was not there anymore, I noticed at the pizza board, he's making the dough, doing all of his little stuff. But then this girl came over and she's at the counter, patting the breads and stuff. And then homeboy comes back over, the guy that was originally making the pizza, and then he starts patting the same bread that she's patting on. So you got two sets of hands making this bread. So I don't know if he was starting her off. Maybe she was learning how to make this pizza or whatever it was. But I saw two different sets of hands on the pizza. Now, like I said, that germophobic side just really was talking to me at that moment when I saw the two hands all over. In my country, we'll call it fingering. Okay, that means you're touching up. So Missy, I'm fingering up the food now. Touching up the food, touching up. I'll put translations down at the bottom for those that don't know patois. So by this time,
I'm like, okay, I know for sure I ain't coming back to Domino's. I don't care what Domino's it is. I'm not coming back to Domino's Because now I see the nasty behind the scenes. I'm on the phone calling for my order. I don't see how these people are preparing this food, but now I see how they're preparing this food.
Okay. But then after the seeing the two touching, fingering up the meat, the pizza, I'm watching now. My focus now goes to the cashier, which I realize she's not there. So I guess, okay, now, there's nothing really else to do because I was the only person in the store. So after taking my order, she decides to go behind the counter next to the old man, or the little man. And I'm wondering, okay, she was just touching money. All right. Plus she has that henna dye ink thing all over her hands. So she can't possibly be back there touching no food because that would be really unsanitary. Besides the fact that they think that the germs are killed in the oven because the oven is 500 degrees and that kills all sorts of germs. That means all sorts of sweating and rubbing and picking and yeah, this is what they're saying the oven will kill. So now I see the little girl, the cashier, and she's behind the counter next to the little guy. And I seen her pick up a pizza roll or pizza dough as well. So at first I thought she was just stacking the box or preparing boxes, but I realized she was back there making darn pizza with no gloves and henna dye all front and back of her hands.
Oh.
It really took a lot for me not to walk out of that store. Because all I kept thinking about was, well, they touching the pizza, so they ain't touch my food. So let me see what happens when my food come out. So now I'm watching that oven. I'm watching that oven like I don't know what I'm watching because I want to see my food. So now my food is rolling out the oven in a foil. So I'm like, okay, that's good because at least now when they take it out, they ain't touching my food. It goes in the box, whatever, and it's done. So now I see, our order coming out. But I realized that little man that was doing all that sweating was the one that had to box up my food. I tell you, you talk about eyeballing him so much to the point that man was so uncomfortable. He knew I was watching him because I was watching hard, okay? I see you. Okay. What you doing? Make sure no sweat drips into my chicken. He sees me, and I'm looking at him. And I tell you, not one sweat bead dropped off his face. But if I was on the phone making my order and not standing behind the counter, I can't imagine what would be going on. So that got me to thinking now.
Wow, Donna. You can't be eating out like that because you don't know what these people is doing back there behind that counter. You don't know if they picking their nose, scratching their butt. You don't know if they scratching their hair. You don't know if they just scratching. All little dirt and DNA particles is getting up all in their nails, and then they touching food, or maybe they're talking over the food. Maybe they coughed over the food, sneezed over the food. Ooh.
Well, that just got me to thinking. It's time for me to stop eating out at these restaurants because I mean, New York City has these codes now for restaurants, so you can get an idea of what kind of rating they are based on cleanliness. So you'll see on the stores, the front of the windows of restaurants are rating A, B, or C. Now, A is top of the line. B, you'd be a little bit scared to go inside a restaurant that's a B, because that means they had a violation and you don't know what that violation code could have been, and they, you know, they got a B. C, run, Forrest, as fast as you can. If you see a restaurant with a C, do not go in there, do not pass the door, do not collect a plate, because that means you're taking a risk. I wouldn't trust it. But this place had an A, so I thought it was safe to go into this Domino's pizza. But I realized that I cannot do that. And even ordering for my family, no more outside foods, because these people is sweating like crazy and it's hot. And these young kids is doing all sorts of craziness in the kitchen around the food. And it just got me to thinking. But I tell you like this, no
more Domino's, period. Period. Period.
That right there really made me sick to my stomach while I was just standing there watching, and made me realize, don't ever eat from Domino's again. They are nasty, and they do not care about the food that they are preparing. They're just doing their job, and it's hot, and they're sweaty, and they're scratching, and they got henna dye, and they doing all sorts of stuff because they think that their oven that goes up to 500 degrees is going to kill all the germs. Okay, so beware if you go into another Domino's pizza, because you are taking a risk. Just stand there and watch and see if you see what I saw, because that was not good at all. All right, so I hope this story time did not make you sick, and I hope it made you aware of next time if you do go out and buy food, like these little fast food places and even a restaurant. Just think, it's hot outside. Imagine how hot it is in that kitchen, and think about all the things that could be going on that you just don't see. All right, so thanks for joining me on this story time. I got more coming your way. Stay tuned for that, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Turn your notifications on for this channel so you will not miss another video, and I upload 1 to 4 videos every week, so don't forget to turn on that notification and join me in the next video.